I'm Dan Fleetwood, president of the Research and Insights platform. Tim's on the line as well. Tim is the director of audience and sample operations. So today we're going to be talking to you about a lot of the things that we're doing in research. So we're going to talk about features that we released and then kind of where we see the direction going into 2021 and beyond. And then, as I mentioned, we'll leave about 10 minutes for Q&A. All right, so this is the research track. Let's get started. I want to talk a little bit about the research product roadmap. And if you remember from earlier today, if you attended the presentation by Vivek, he talked about research being really four key pillars of obviously the research edition features like the Conjoint MaxDiff, some advanced analytics, but then also audience, which is like an online sample that Tim manages. And then we have communities and then service. So this research product roadmap really runs the gamut between those, not so much yet on the services side, but more on the research surveys, communities, and audience. So in 2000, obviously in Q3 of this year, we released a number of new features that I think you'll be really excited about. One is, we revamped cross-tabulation. We realized that there's still a lot of people doing cross-tabulation. They needed advanced features and things that we didn't have. So we wanted to delight our customers and revamp this. So now there's additional, I would say, statistical modeling that you can do in there. It's easier look and feel. You can add more questions, and really it's more flexible overall. So that's something that we released in this quarter, or last quarter, I should say. Anchored MaxDiff. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this, but if you haven't used Anchored MaxDiff yet, I would recommend it, at least as an enhancement to your current MaxDiff scaling models. For communities, people wanted a cash option, so we integrated with PayPal directly, and so we offer PayPal rewards. This has been a big feature in our communities platform. And then I think probably the biggest one that we've released is digital focus groups. So the ability to do online focus groups. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up because there's some cool features that we overlaid on top of a Zoom integration that we have. And then instant answers, which we'll show you here in a second via live demo. This is really around high frequency research and how you can get answers to questions quicker and in a more manageable format. Talking about a few things in development. So what we're working on now is Livecast, which Viv mentioned earlier. So this, we'll be talking a little bit more about it, but since Viv covered it pretty extensively in the session this morning, we won't spend a lot of time on it. Garber-Granger pricing modeling. So as we'll talk about, I think price analytics, pricing sensitivity questions are going to be a key focus for us. So this is another tool that we have in that toolbox. Well, variable bucketing. So this is a feature where you can combine different variables on questions to combine them and then do those analytics on crosstabs. So this is probably a feature that I think people will be excited about because it'll make their lives easier in doing analysis and so forth. Cluster analysis. So we redid our correlation analysis. Now we're going to be moving on to cluster analysis and getting that into the platform. And then on the community feature, really what I would call community member direct message, to where the admin or moderator of the community can directly message a member in the community. That member can directly message the admin. So you're not having to go between email or text. It's all directly and contained within the community platform. So those are some some of the features there that we are working on, and you can kind of see the direction that we're going. What I want to do now is jump into a live demo. So this is our instant answers. Essentially, it's a Slack integration where you can ask a question, select your sample size, and then that question gets fielded, and then then the answers will come back directly into Slack. So what I'll do now is I will come to, Tim, you can see my Slack screen, right? Slack app? Okay, cool. So in here, you can ask a question. So, and this is an integration. Tim will be talking a little bit more about this, but we wanted to start this, we wanted to show this demo. So that way we can ask a question. We'll come back to it later in this particular product showcase, so you can see that, how quickly it is in the results field. So essentially you say question, and I'm going to say, I'm going to ask a question around pandemic fatigue. So are you feeling the effects of pandemic fatigue. All right, so I didn't spell that right. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to put in my answer options. So it'll be yes. And then I'm going to say no for the other option. Oops. All right, so no. So you put these in brackets. And then if you're ready to ask the question, you hit enter. And then you can see that you can select how many individuals you want to send this to. So I'm going to do 50 for this particular demo. I'll do English. And then I want to target folks in the US. And yep, I'm sure I want to ask that question. So this question will be asked, and then we'll come back to this later, but you can see how easy it was to launch this question. It'll be fielded now. We'll get 50 respondents that are census balanced. And again, just wanted to get this live demo going, and then we'll come back to this later in the presentation today. But moving on, I want to talk about the research outlook in 2020 and beyond. So where do we see things headed from a research standpoint? So I think, Angela talked about this a little bit earlier in terms of continuous discovery. This is, I think, going to be the focus, right, of really around communities, the live cast, and then the video focus groups. So really all about seeking that desired outcome by conducting small research activities with customers. I think is really around continuous discovery. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. High frequency research, which is instant answers, get those results out quickly. Tim will touch on that directly here. And then pricing analytics and giving more tools and talk about how we're moving even more towards that, I would say, and providing those tools to you, our customers, with Van Westendorp, Garber Granger, MaxDiff, and then Conjoint. Obviously, MaxDiff and Conjoint are two tools that we already had, or I guess tools in the toolbox, so to speak. But really, MaxDiff, we've added anchored MaxDiff, which we'll talk more about as well. So let's talk about longitudinal and continuous discovery and dive in to those a little bit more. Really what I mean by this is using our community management platform. You can conduct online focus groups from the community platform, obviously with the functionality that we have now, but really it's a way to get that continuous discovery with your customers. We talked a lot today about unmet needs and how do we figure that out. Well, it's really doing these small research activities with your customers inside of a community. And I think doing those small activities with customers over time directly adds, to the value of the community and the continuous discovery process. Really what you want is a good community that has both qual and quant in it, and then you can do that continuous discovery process. What we found is customers that had a community, especially during the pandemic, were able to get in those insights quicker. If we think back to, we did a webinar with Energizer a few months back, and this was directly in the middle of the pandemic. And Prab, the lead guy there, he was saying that because they had the community, they were able to get customer sentiment more at a quicker rate because they were already set up. It's kind of like the old anecdote, you don't want to wait until after the flood or after the earthquake to have flood or earthquake insurance, right? Like you want to have that ahead of time. And I think the community is no different from that. And people that had a community were, I think, in better shape overall to get those insights and get those things that they needed in the pandemic, but then also out of that as well, and continuing the discovery process with customers that never ends. You always want to continue doing these activities. And that's something that we see as an important component of any good research plan or platform as well. And then digital focus groups play into this. Obviously, with the pandemic and things that kind of accelerated this a little bit for us, although I would say that it's on our roadmap and we were planning to do it. But the digital focus groups is something that is a key component to our platform. And really where we differentiate is through our natural language processing, and that we're able to take in real time the words. Like if I'm in a focus group now, the words that I'm saying will be automatically transcribed, and then they'll be categorized as well with different sentiment. And then those can also be those comments can be starred for later analysis. If you're doing a session like with a client or some other stakeholders within the organization, they can see that as well, and they can star, and maybe the moderator can go back and highlight those. So those are some things that we're doing. I think that is where we're going to take it, and then really being able to eventually down the line to take a lot of those themes and then put those, bubble those back up for the researcher. So that not only themes inside of the focus group, but then also themes just inside of the community, and getting all of those together and really help pushing the different narratives and things that we're seeing, so you can get that continuous discovery process. And then livecast, Viv mentioned this earlier. Livecast is definitely a good research feature that we're excited about, and that you can get those quick studies. It definitely allows for easier mobile diary studies, even to have this question inside of a survey and get that feedback where the person is taking a video of themselves. You're able to get then obviously that transcribed, and then you're able to get the different categories, the sentiment around each of these different categories, and using emotional recognition, machine learning, natural language feedback, all of those things come into play there. And I think this is a really good feature because it really helps us have a well-rounded product, which then helps our customers and you guys out to be able to conduct the research that you want all within one platform. So Tim, do you want to take it away and talk a little bit about high frequency research? Hold on, let's see.
There we go. It was
perfect.
I think an admin setting that we had to
okay.
override to get me to be able to talk. So
all right.
When I think about high frequency research, I think about the world transitioning to shorter quantitative surveys to get the same sentiment that you would have in a longer study previously, a year ago, 2 years ago, anything like that. So what we've been coming up with is ways to get answers back very, very quickly, which Dan's going to show you once we get back into the Slack integration. Fast answers to your most burning questions. So how is your brand winning? Where are you missing out? Are you talking to any of your customers? Are you missing out on any opportunities? We've ran a ton of surveys just asking different names that resonate with people with products. Our Slack integration here on the slide is how it works is you author the survey within Slack. The respondents are not going to be from Slack. They're going to be fielded from a representative population that is going to be based on the last census. So that's going to be based on age, race, gender, and location. And the importance with that is you can get the answer to any of your questions and make sure that they are represented and no groups are left behind, I'd say. So the key here is with high frequency research, we need to get answers and we need them fast. And so we came up with the Slack integration, which is going to speed up that process. It's a quick way to do like a 360 analysis of you and your brand or your product or your service, or you can ask a question. I had a customer come in here and write an article about whether a hot dog was a sandwich or not. So it can be really anything that you wanted. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? It's hands up. We're getting a lot of who's going to win the election. We have customers that during the debate will ask questions about something that was just said, and then they'll get their responses back in record time. So really excited to bring this to the world. And Dan, do you mind sharing your Slack?
No, let me get back to that here. Oops, hold on 1 second. Let's see here, get out of this. Let's go back to that Slack. All right, so you can see the question I asked, are you feeling effects of pandemic fatigue? So we already got the results back. So you can see that was less than probably 10 minutes or so. And this is really the high frequency research that Tim is mentioning, to where you can ask a question and get those results back really quickly. So you can see about a little over 35 of the 50 say that they are feeling it, and then a little less than, or a little more than 10 are not feeling the effects of pandemic fatigue. So really quick, high frequency, as Tim mentioned, has a lot of use cases, from product, media, to any number of things, even just general questions that you want to know about. We've been using it internally, kind of fun with the election and different things, but definitely for high frequency research, this is something that you can get those quick answers that you need. Cool. Anything else you want to add on high frequency research, Tim?
No, this is my baby, and I can't wait to share it with the world. So it's an exciting day for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you want to use this, and definitely contact Tim or I, and we will get you hooked up. All right, so let's spend a few minutes talking about pricing analytics, and then feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we can answer those before 3 o'clock when we'll all go to the wrap party. But I wanted to talk about pricing analytics and how we're thinking about that. So one thing, we got a lot of requests for Garber Granger, and getting that question type in as an addition to Van Westendorp and the little different pricing sensitivity questions. So if you're not familiar with Garber Granger, the main aim is to find the maximum price each respondent is willing to pay for something, where Van Westendorp, maybe you don't know the particular price, so you want to leave it open and you want to see what that might be. But really allows to project price elasticity of the product, so you can find those maximum revenue points. So you can see an example of an output here, where you would get price elasticity and then a willingness to pay and revenue curve. So this all comes from asking questions like, would you buy product X and then at a certain price, and then asking, based on the previous result, asking a respondent then if they're willing to buy a product at a higher price. So let's say you ask, hey, would you be willing to buy this product at $100? They say yes. The next question would be, would you be willing to buy this product at $150? And then when a respondent says no to this line of questions, and you might have 7 to 8 different price points in there, you'll know by the end of it what value or what the most maximizing price point is here. So that's the Garber Granger pricing model. And this is something that is new. We released it as part of our product offering to really help round out the pricing analytics suite that we have already going inside of QuestionPro. Van Westendorp is another model that we have. And this is something that we've had, but it does round out, like I said, the whole toolbox, so that you have these things available to you. Van Westendorp is really around asking the different questions, if it's by understanding the different range, by asking 4 questions, essentially. At what point is something too expensive? At what point is it expensive, but it's on the high side and you would maybe still, buy it? At what point is it cheap, a good value? At what point is it too cheap to where you would never consider that? And then through this, you'll figure out what price points the market will potentially accept. So it might come in, in handy in different industries, but if you wanted to confirm if your pricing is too low or too high, you could do Van Westendorp, where maybe you don't know those ranges, but you want to figure those out. And then Garber Granger, you can see, hey, I know the ranges, but what's the maximum price point that each person's willing to pay? You can definitely use the Van Westendorp for that. The MaxDiff is obviously closely related in that the different price points and different attributes within a product that someone would want. But we recently released Anchored MaxDiff. So Anchored MaxDiff allows for additional data points, I would say. It's if you think about MaxDiff in itself, it's a relative model, but I think Anchored MaxDiff really takes it to more of an absolute model. So really, Anchored MaxDiff experiments supplement standard MaxDiff. So you would still do your MaxDiff question, you do Anchored MaxDiff in addition to it, but then you have a really additional question to determine the absolute importance. So you can think about it in MaxDiff. Respondents indicate which items are relatively better or worse than others, but the scores are estimated on a relative scale, meaning relative to the different items that are inside of the MaxDiff question without any indication that items are good, bad, important, or anything within an absolute sense. But you don't know, like, it may be that feature A is twice as important as feature B, which we would find out from MaxDiff. It may also be that neither A or B is important. So you wouldn't find those out in a traditional MaxDiff study, but if you add in anchoring, it allows the researcher to figure that out and then determines if any of those features are fundamentally important. So it's definitely a key in adding to MaxDiff, and it's a feature that we have in the platform now. So feel free, if you're on the research license, to make use of this. If you're not, let me know, and we can obviously work something out to where you'd be able to use this. But essentially, it's about asking that follow-up question of your attributes, of considering the items shown, what's your must-haves, and then based on that, you would know the absolute importance there. And then Conjoint, obviously we've had Conjoint. I think, you heard Viv talk earlier about how Conjoint came to be, and, Scott and Chris helped him out in getting this into the platform. But definitely want to touch on this because it's an important way to analyze trade-offs and the best set of features, and that would make up a particular product. And our Conjoint model is great because it has market simulation in there, to where you can simulate different market scenarios along with different pricing and different packages and so forth. So definitely, if you haven't checked out our Conjoint in a while, book an appointment for us, and we can definitely talk about it and see how this might work for your product. But it definitely helps round out, pricing, packaging, concept testing as well. And then the live demo, I think we were going to do it later on, but we got the results back so quickly that, we could do it in no time at all. So we don't need to check on those results because we did that inside of, again, that's the instant answer Slack integration that we had. So with that was the different products and different things we wanted to showcase, from anchored MaxDiff to instant answers to video discussions. There's a lot of tools at your disposal now. So feel free to make use of those. And do we have any questions that maybe had come up, Mark, or people just?
Yeah, we actually had a few.
Okay.
Dan. So Laura is wondering, is the digital focus group available as a standalone if you don't have an active community?
You can use it as a standalone. It's part of our community's offering, but it's also designed to be used as a standalone as well.
All right. She's also wondering, do you have like a 2-minute overview of livecast for people who missed this morning session? Actually, Laura will be giving out the recordings to everyone by later this week, so you'll definitely be able to see that.
Yeah, and I would say if you want a demo or you want to see it in action, definitely message me, and I can show you, livecast, or even give you some additional resources to where you can check that out.
Actually, there was another. Kim wondering if you're going to be doing like a webinar or hosting a session soon on the specifics of instant answers. So, Tim, do you have something in the pipeline for that?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to get to the question before that. Who does the survey go out to? So the survey goes out to double opted in panelists who have indicated that they want to participate in a survey. These are people who we have their address, ethnicity, age, where they live, everything like that. And they come back because we know these people very well in the proportion that we're looking for. To put to give you an idea of the things that we're coming out with soon is, yes, we will be doing a webinar very soon, as well as giving different companies and individuals the use of our tool to really test it out and see how you can make it work within your organization. So please email me or Dan, and we'll get you started so you can actually get your hands dirty and working with it. If you have a burning question right now, shoot it to me. I'll run it for you before the integration, but happy to jump in there and get you some answers really quick. It's being used heavily with the debates and with a lot of different brands. So happy to do that for you.
Yeah, let us know. We're happy to run a question for you to test it out. I know I'm not being a homer here, but every time I've asked a question and got the results back to our clients, they've loved it. So let us know. Happy to ask those questions, and then just to give you a taste. And obviously, you can integrate it in if you have Slack as well. All right, looks like we have about 1 more minute here. So if there's other questions, definitely let us know.
Hey, Tim, there's also another question that that Renee wanted to know if this is only available in the US or you can do this in other countries too.
It's available in, yes, it's definitely available in the UK as well as Australia. We have a lot of different, the instant survey, yes, that is correct. It is available in other countries. For right now, we only have the availability to do English, but we do have a great population within the UK and the United States, as well as Australia, that we can get an instant pulse on for you. You can expect the instant results to be anywhere from an N size of as little as you want, 10, all the way up to like 500 to 1,000. If you need more than that, we can definitely try it and run it. But for the beta, for the beta, we've designed it to where it can handle up to 1,000 or so. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions around the instant survey? I know that was a quick kind of tease that Dan put out there.
Yeah, I know. I wish well, definitely if you want to know more about it, we're always happy to hop on a call and show it to you again live as we did. Or if you have a question, shoot it to us. We'll ask it right away and get those results back to you. But I think now is a good time. It's 3, so definitely appreciate everybody's time and thanks for joining. Again, there'll be, hop on the Slack channel. Mark, do you have it? And you can put it in the chat maybe for people.
Yeah, I'm just doing that right now.
Okay. And you should have also got an email as well, but we're going to jump to our happy hour now. But thank you everybody for attending and hanging out with us. And if you have questions after this, feel free to get in contact with us, LinkedIn, email, give me a call. I think, Tim is also the same way. We want to hear from you. We want you to use these things. We're building them for you guys. So definitely let us know if you want to use any of these features, and hopefully you found this interesting and you're excited about QuestionPro and the many great things that we're doing. So appreciate it. All right, research team, I'll see you guys at the happy hour.
All right, see you. Thanks,
all right,
guys.
thanks everybody. Much appreciated.
Everybody, thank you.
All right, see you. Bye.